David, how quickly did this deal come together, and how much have you been searching, I guess, recently for help?
We've had a variety of conversations, frankly, going on for weeks now. On the pen, we've been talking with Tampa for a couple of weeks as well, and we're able to get it done today.
Is there anything in particular about Maton that intrigues you guys?
This is someone that we targeted and talked to over the offseason. Had been a very consistent reliever, pitching in a high-leverage environment in big games in Houston. Got off to a rougher start this year, and we think some of the adjustments he's made over the last month or so, throwing a few more strikes, some usage adjustments, have led to some better results, and we're happy to bring him into our pen.
In terms of your overall trade deadline strategy here, how big or small of a piece of the puzzle is this move?
I don't know. I think it's a piece that we think today helps our bullpen and helps our team, and we're going to continue to see what is out there and moves that may make sense for us, and also continue to learn about our team in the coming weeks.
With still 2-3 weeks to go until the deadline, how important was it for you, even just to show something to the guys in that room, to get something done in advance of it?
I think it's really just about trying to do what we can to put the best team on the field that we possibly can. And I think we've tried to be as proactive as possible throughout the course of the year, incrementally upgrading where we can. And this is another example of it.
Just to kind of pick on what Tony said there, you really couldn't wait, it seemed, Dave, because bullpen was such an urgency that you couldn't wait a couple weeks. I would imagine this was something that you felt like you had to get done pretty soon.
Yeah, I think bullpen performance can be really volatile, and bullpen performance can also change very quickly. And we've seen that in our own team over the course of this year. Our bullpen performed among the league best, if not the league best, for the first month of the season. Had a really rough May with the pen. Performed much better in June again, and clearly over the last week it hasn't performed at a high level, and I think there are a lot of reasons for that. Clearly injuries. We've asked a lot of certain relievers, probably more than they've been asked previously in their careers. And we've also had a couple guys go through some rough patches here of late. You add that all together, and it's been a challenge. But I also think we've got some really talented arms down there that are capable of pitching at a high level, who have pitched at a high level, and are going to help us win games and close out games.
What do you like in particular about Phil Maton?
Yeah, it's an experienced arm who has pitched in the back end of bullpens in big games, and he's shown an ability with his stuff arsenal to attack both handed hitters, and so we're excited to bring him in.
The fact that you were willing to find a trade partner to sell something to you on July 9th, did this tell you anything broader about sellers willing to sell earlier than expected this year, or was this just an isolated incident?
We'll find out. I think for now it's probably a little bit of a unique circumstance, but we'll find out. There is industry discussion going on right now. There's no question. Whether it yields a more active mid-July trade season, I don't know yet.
More conversations than typical for this date, you think?
I don't think so. I think you usually have these volume of conversations, and then it takes till maybe after the All-Star break for them to pick up in intensity. But as we found out today, one phone call can change your proximity to a deal.
Mike?
Safe to say you're taking on the remainder of his contract?
Yes. There's not cash going back.
And also, Lucchesi, how tough of a decision was that? Because he's had some good performances for the team. Yeah.
Anytime you're adding a player to a full 40-man roster, you have to make a difficult decision. Joey has pitched well at times for this organization, specifically last year. It's certainly our hope we'll be able to retain him, but we'll see what happens.
Laura?
How have you seen teams adjust their deadline or pre-deadline strategies in kind of the era of expanded playoffs?
I think it depends on the individual team's particular circumstance. I don't know that I've seen a universal trend throughout baseball. I think depending where certain organizations are in their specific cycle, you see organizations get maybe a little bit more aggressive than they would otherwise, and other organizations don't. So I don't know that I've drawn a universal lesson with expanded playoffs. I think it's been more individual organization and individual executive mindset.
What was the value in your mind of adding a reliever now versus 3 weeks down the line when maybe the supply of available guys might be larger?
Yeah, I think the supply will be larger. I think where we are right now with the confluence of injuries, workload, and a couple of guys scuffling, if we had the ability to add now, it certainly made sense.
How soon will Phil join the roster?
Either tomorrow or the next day. We're working through that now.
Tony?
That was my question.
Zach?
Still in the kind of process of evaluating, or is this a sign that you guys are gonna be aggressive or at least be on the buyer's side?
I think this is really a continuation of us trying to improve our team, supplement our team where we can, and we're going to continue to learn about our team over the coming weeks, and we'll take that opportunity to determine what a full trade deadline strategy looks like.
Emmy?
Do you feel good about the position your team is currently in, given what the schedule looks like moving forward?
I feel a lot better about it than I did a month and a half ago. Look, I think our group, our players, our coaches deserve a lot of credit for battling through what was a really, really tough May in a number of ways. It was a very challenging month for the club, and I think they stuck together, and our players stuck together in a really admirable way, put together one of the better months in the history of this organization in June, and put us in a spot where if we continue to play well, we're a playoff caliber team. And so that is certainly exciting, and certainly prefer where we sit today and the types of questions I'm getting today than what I got 6 weeks ago.
Tony?
A couple of your players have been vocal in saying they've reached out to Steve, essentially asking for help. Have you heard that directly from players or from Steve?
Sure. I one of the reasons I try to be around is so that I can hear from players, and I like hearing from our players. I think it's important for me to get their perspective, and certainly great for me to hear that that our players and our veteran players think that we're good enough to deserve to add, and that's good for me to hear.
Does hearing that directly do anything in terms of changing your mindset, your strategy, or anything like that?
It's a piece of information. It's a data point. I certainly prefer to hear that than what the opposite could be. So it's a piece of information, and we try to weigh it along with all the other information that we have.
Andrew?
I guess, how do you feel about the state of the bullpen overall? That's constituted with the Phil Maton.
I think we have a group that was thinned out by injuries. We have a group that there was some significant usage on certain guys who have pitched pretty well. And we have a group that has the talent to be pretty consistent. We've had really good stretches over the course of this year with our bullpen, and we've had some really tough stretches. But I do think we have guys down there who can get the job done, have at points this year, and certainly have throughout the course of their careers.
Tim?
Given the kind of muddled state of the National League, where every team is like a week or 10 days out from being in playoff position,
Yep.
Does that make it more challenging to decide on how to approach the trade deadline? How does that inform what you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it's both challenging and fun and frenetic and all of those things. I think we are in a spot where winning 3 in a row changes things in a very significant direction, and losing 3 in a row seems to change things in a pretty significant direction. And that's true for a couple other teams as well. It's one of the reasons why we're going to try to be patient as we continue to learn and evaluate the team.
Andy?
When it comes to an organizational decision like yesterday with Christian Scott's 75-ish pitch count, one of them on, What are the pieces of information that go into determining that? Because obviously a pitch count or an innings limit or what have you is inherently unscientific. How is that decision arrived on that's the number for him?
Yeah, there's no crystal ball here, and we don't know exactly what the right answer is in terms of pitch counts. We've talked about we don't have a firm innings limit on Scotty. We're going to try to do our best to evaluate how he's feeling start to start, month to month, and go from there. In this case, we had a pitcher who hasn't pitched a lot on normal rest, on coming back on 4 days rest. We kind of knew that one of these first couple starts, we were probably going to push him a little harder, and one of them, there are going to be a little bit more reins on him. It happened that the first one, the game laid out where we pushed him a little harder, and so the second one, we pulled back. And how you get to that rough number, what that is, it's a conversation with our coaches, it's a conversation with our performance staff, and we do the best to balance all the information and try to get to what seems like a logical spot.
You guys made the decision to have him throw on an extra day's rest in AAA, I guess, when he went down there. If there's no innings limit on him, what goes into that decision?
Trying to give him as much rest and recovery as possible. There's no innings limit. There's also trying to be smart about this and giving a pitcher who just hasn't pitched a lot in his life. And we're trying to get him to the finish line of what we hope is going to be a competitive year and a playoff push and hopefully beyond that. And so giving that the space between starts, stretching it out a little bit, we thought was the right decision.
Given the circumstances with Scott and also Senga progressing on his rehab assignment, has there been any discussions about maybe going to a 6-man rotation after the All-Star break?
Yeah, I think once Senga is back, our default stance would be a 6-man. We may deviate from that occasionally, but I think once Senga's back, the default will be a 6-man.
The plan 2 more rehab starts for Senga?
We don't have a defined set number yet. We're going to continue to evaluate after every rehab start, see how he feels, see where we are from a rotation perspective. If all goes according to plan, I would say sometime after the All-Star break, but I couldn't tell you exactly when.
Just to follow up on the starting pitching, assuming Senga comes back healthy and Scott's pitching well and all that, do you feel like you have enough depth there that you could deal from that group and still be competitive, or are you of the mind that we need every arm we can get?
I think you never have enough starting pitching. We're going to continue to evaluate this thing in the coming weeks, see where our team is, see where our health is, and go from there. But you'd always prefer to have more starting pitching than less.
Is there any belief that Ronnie Mauricio will be somehow able to play this year?
I don't know that yet. I think the most likely situation is he probably does not come back. We certainly don't want to rush Ronnie back to get a couple of weeks in September. But if his rehab progression goes that way, that's a good outcome.